Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Kirby's Dream Land 2. In the last one we started off the game and now we're in Ripple Field, which, if you can't tell by the color palette, is our generic water gimmick world. Though I will say, this game actually, well first off I'm ditching Ku, because I don't need him for what's coming up. I will say that Kirby games generally do something pretty well in my eyes, and that's, until maybe the 3D games, by that I mean 64 onwards, a lot of the levels aren't dictated by the world gimmick. Just because this is the water world doesn't mean that water is going to be a feature that is in every level. It's in most of them, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be in a lot of levels from here on out anyway. You know what I mean? It's kind of the, new, Mario 3D World thing. No, Mario 3D Land, rather. Where backgrounds have a theme, yes, but most of the levels aren't dictated by that theme. Though this is probably still where there are the most water levels, and ow! You're actually gonna see me dying a good amount in this game, by the way. The thing is with Kirby is that I love the series. After all, I mean, Nightmare in Dreamland was one of the first, I know it was the first Game Boy Advance game I had. And, Squeak Squad's still one of my favorite games on DS, as is, what's it called? I'm getting the name. Amazing Mirror on the Game Boy Advance is also one of my favorite on that game system. But I don't play these games too often, so I will die a bit more than people probably should. Mostly because I'm very reckless, even in a game that's made for kids, which means I probably shouldn't be as reckless. Though speaking of which, in terms of recent Kirby games, I actually haven't played too many of the recent ones. I completely missed the Wii one, Return to Dreamland, and Triple Deluxe. Though from what I played of the demo at PAX East for Robo, the new one, Planet Robo, whatever. I can't remember what the second half of that word is. It seems like it's going to be a solid game. And coming up here in the next room are water currents, actually. These are extraordinarily strong. You cannot fight them alone. However, thankfully, that's why this next room is here. In here, we also have a new mini-boss, too, if I recall it correctly. Yeah, the Spark one. This guy's pretty simple. He likes to hop all over the place, screwing left and right every now and then, and doing the generic Spark attack, which is that's what you do, actually, if you are Spark Kirby. And every now and then, he'll shoot 2 lightning bolts out, either on the floor or in the air. Beyond that, his only other attack is to throw stars at you, which is what you attack him with. If he jumps and throws them, he's going to throw them down at you directly. However, if he throws them from the ground, he's going to throw them up in an arc. And also, I showed off the pause screen for a second there. I believe in this game, the pause screen is the first to show you what your abilities do. Which is a running theme the series will have from here on. Also, don't touch the bag without opening it. Why? It does damage to you. And, that's no good. Ow. And, okay, either way, next up is, first off, this thing's name is Kine, K-I-N-E. I think this guy's a sunfish of some sort, but I forget what exact type. And, in case you can't tell because he's a fish, he is very good in water. In fact, he can fight the currents. On land, he's not as useful because he can't exactly walk on the land. You have to do mini hops. But for water levels, he is your best friend. I do have to wonder, though, with all the animal buddies, and with the exception of maybe Rick with Parasol, how do the animal buddies gain abilities from Kirby swallowing enemies? In some cases, it makes sense because it's just Kirby firing stuff out, but in other cases, it's clearly the animal buddy doing stuff as well. Like, unless this is just Kirby impaling Kine in several ways with the spikes here. Also, there's a hidden room in here, I believe, with the extra 1-ups, but I don't need them. And now I want to get Spark. Why? Because Spark is really good. You can see the room with this. The hidden room with the 1-up. And obviously, as you can see, Spark as Kine just puts a lightning bolt out of Kirby's mouth you can keep in there. It's actually really good for moving in the water because you can just have a constant attack in front of you. But then you can launch it out and then it'll explode after a few seconds. Pretty useful, but it makes a really irritating sound. And that is derp of a sprite if I've ever seen one there. If I recall correctly, the soundtrack composer for this game was not the person who did Kirby's Dream Land 1. I believe it was the first game that the people from HAL did. So as you can see, as I mentioned, water is a prevalent feature in a lot of these levels, yes, but they're not theming it all around the water, you know what I mean? And I know I'm repeating that because I don't really have much to talk about with this right now because Kirby games, as I think I mentioned last part, they're fun, yes, but because the level design is very beginner-friendly and so simplistic, you tend to run out of things to talk about after a while. In most cases. Well, first off, we want to head up here into this door to get something, if I recall. One of the few exceptions to that I could probably think of off the top of my head are, first off, 64. And actually, Amazing Mirror would also have a lot of stuff going on due to the fact that it's very Metroid-like. And in here, we got 5 stars. But if you look there in the background, when I have the lights on, I apparently didn't notice it there myself, which is why I went back in, because I knew it was in there, but I forgot to get into it. You can see that there is a door shape right there. Enter it, and here's this world's rainbow drop. But I can't get it yet. I need the stone ability, which I showed off earlier. So we need to go find one of those first before we can get it. I'll be cutting back here once I get one, though. Thankfully, there's a stone power not too far away. But there are cases where you need to leave the world, or the level at least, to get a power. Mostly. They're generally good about that, having the ability that you need in the level, but I think there's one case where it's not. There's a stone ability. Goodbye, Spark. Oh, damn it, Rock. You went in the water. Yeah, that's the thing, actually. Water in this game. First off, it lessens a lot of your abilities. Like, a Spark ability will go nowhere near as far as will Fire and Cutter and stuff. But it also will kill any enemies that fall into it that aren't native to the water, and also destroy any abilities that you leave in it. Anyway, that stone, it pretty much just makes you fall down. That's consistent again across almost all animal buddies, too. Aside from Rick, but we'll get into that later. And that's the rainbow drop for this world. Now, you're probably wondering, are all the worlds this short? 3 levels in the boss? And no. If I recall, World 3 here is actually the last one to do that. For good reason, mind you. If I recall, all the other worlds are 4 levels plus. Though, mind you, in World 7's case, that doesn't mean much because a lot of those levels are short, as we'll see later on. You know, I look at Kine, actually, and even though I know the game that I'm thinking of came after this, it reminds me a lot of Mambo from Link's Awakening. Oh, wait, no, did Link's Awakening come out first? Because I'm thinking of DX. To Google. Kirby's Dreamland 2. Either way, we're coming up on the boss, so I'm going to do this and that at the same time. Let's see, Kirby's Dreamland 2 came out March 21st, 95, and this boss is an anglerfish who's really easy. I believe this guy's name is Sweet Stuff. The way he fights is that he'll either... Well, first off, he fires these little arrow things as part of his pattern. That's his main damage attack. He can also charge into you. But you have a good amount of ways to attack him, because you can shoot those starfish at him, as you saw. Or these squids, and he'll often summon a lot of them in a row, so you can get some damage in pretty quickly on him. He's probably the easiest boss in the game, actually. Link's Awakening was released in 93, so Link's Awakening beat this out by 2 years. That's not as bad as I thought it was. For some reason, I thought Link's Awakening was a launch title for the Game Boy, but no, that was Mario Land. You know, for some reason, I tend to forget the Game Boy came out in, like, 91. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I assume handhelds with mid-90s more so than early 90s. Also, I don't like how I have to jump on the star to leave the world after beating the boss. You shouldn't have to do that. It's kind of redundant. Either way, let's go in for this level's bonus round. This is the first one that I find kind of annoying. In this one, you have to swim with Kine, or as Kirby by yourself, but I recommend Kine because you can control yourself more freely. And grab stars without hitting the Gordos. Not Gordies, I called them Gordies last one. They're Gordos. My bad. And this is very easy in concept, but sometimes you slip up. And in a lot of these mini games, if you get hit once, you're done. I don't think you can go back until either you clear another world or something, or I don't know. It's annoying. Either way, now it's time for World 4, which if you can't tell by the island, is an iceberg, which is also the ice level gimmick. Ice gimmick world. And I believe this is the first world where we have access to all of the animal buddies, because World 1, if you haven't figured it out by this point, World 1 was kind of an introduction to the game mechanics in general. World 2 was more so an introduction to Rick, and Koo as well. World 3 was an introduction to Kine, and this is the first one to combine them. Anyway, here's Normal Spark. It's useful, I suppose. I find it a lot more useful in the other games because Kirby's Dream Land 2 has a good amount of delay with certain things. Like, to use the Spark, it's not as instantaneous as it is in, like, the Game Boy Advance games onwards. Either way, those were ice blocks in that room with that animal buddy, which we can only break with the firepower. And it's good old Ricky. Well, not Ricky, Rick. Ricky is a kangaroo, Kyle. And a kick-ass kangaroo at that, though not as good as Dimitri. Anyway, these, onion enemies, pea-hats, whatever they are completely immortal once you anger them, so if you anger them, run. Because, unlike the, very scary enemies that if you suck on them will start going after you and explode, you can't kill them at all, if I recall. And this is ice! Ice is pretty self-explanatory. You hit someone with it, you freeze them, then you can bat them into the other enemies. I actually find Rick's version of it a lot more useful, because it's not breath-based, because normal Ice Kirby breathes ice on people, whereas Ice Rick just surrounds himself in ice. And this is the Stone mini-boss, which reminds me a lot of Balrog from Cave Story, actually. He is very easy. The way the things you shoot back at him are not stars, but these rocks. And on the attack where he jumps and lands, you can get 2 rocks at once, meaning you can take out 2/3 of his health real quickly. But we want to get Stone Rick for what's coming up. Stone Rick puts Rick into a ball, and then Kirby walks on it like it's some sort, like he's a Jester from Devil May Cry 3. And like normal rock, it rolls down slopes excellently. The momentum just can barely not carry enough to go over certain things. This is cathartic, though. This is very cathartic. Though the Gordos are still completely immortal for some reason. And that's that level. As an ice world, you might figure that a lot of the floors in this are slippery, and they are, but not every floor is. There's actually very few slippery floors in comparison to normal ones. And as you might see, this is actually, I believe, the first world to have 4 levels. And you cannot fight this wind. However, when you come across wind in a level like this, there is a pretty easy way to avoid it. It only really affects you as much when you're in the air. You can actually fight the wind a lot better on the ground than you can otherwise. And we want to get into this door. Why? Because in here is a Parasol mini-boss guarding Koo, I believe. So we want to take him out. And I probably should have just thrown that star at this guy because it's a lot easier. Though, mind you, I suppose with Rick you can at least dodge and stuff. And there we go. Really, the powers are more useful for getting yourself around in normal enemies. For mini bosses, they're pretty useless in the long run. Now, if this was Kirby's Dreamland, Nightmare in Dreamland onwards, not so much because you can do a lot more damage a lot more quickly in those games. Come here, Koo. Oh, no, I believe, yeah, actually, I know for a fact, every single one of the animal buddies actually changes the music when you're on them. They change it to their specific theme. And I love Koo's theme. Either way, with Koo, we can actually get over to this door, which I believe is actually the main way to progress. But with a Parasol, we can thankfully come up here without any difficulty. We actually get one of these annoying little choice sections where you can choose which route you go up. Thankfully, unlike later Kirby games, which do those a lot more, if I recall, you can take more than one route, but I hate sections like that. Like, I immediately think of a few in Mario Wii that have star coins in them, and I hate those. Ow. I do have to say, Kirby feels a lot better. Once, I think 64 was that started this thing, where when you get hit, you don't lose your power immediately. It's more you just have an HP bar and a power bar. Well, not a power bar, but getting hit doesn't make you lose your power immediately. It either takes a big hit or death. And we got ice blocks here, so we need to find a firepower. Thankfully, this room is a very convenient power-up room, which has everything in it. Yeah, and actually, that's all 6 powers. The only thing one I don't think I've shown off much of, if at all, is Cutter. And this is Fire Q. He just charges diagonally at an angle. At a, diagonal descent. There we go. I'm not good at thinking of sentences because reasons. Plus, I get very tired easily. If I'm like this in post-commentary, imagine me in live! That would not go well. Oh, yay, 1 up. Mind you, 15 lives is more so than you'd get in most Sonic games and most well, not most Mario games, most early Mario games. So, Kirby is very generous with lives. Most cases, you have more than enough to finish the game by, like, 20. Around here, I believe, this is actually a room I think has almost every single power-up in it. And I forget if you need one coming up. Yeah, you need Spark. Spark Coup is pretty interesting, because Kirby is the only part of him that actually has a power. And he just shoots lightning down to the ground, which is really good for this mini-boss. Yes, stay there, you man of ice. Yeah, this is the ice mini-boss. The way he usually attacks is either charging you or throws ice blocks at you. The ice blocks are what you need to attack him with. But, as you can see, Coup Spark absolutely decimates him. And Kine. Well, thank God this is right here. Because I'm not... Let me restart that sentence. Not every bag has a set animal in it. A lot of times in the late game, animal buddy bags are randomized, which I'm not sure how I feel about. Also up there is like a 1-up or something, maybe a Maximato. Nothing... Wow, that was a weird way to say nothing. Nothing too useful in my eyes at this point, at least because I have max health. Thankfully, whenever you're underwater, you're in for a pretty easy ride because there's only like 3 underwater enemies. Those sea barnacles, the frogs, and the fish who just flop around. So you never really should have a hard time underwater. And as you can see, Kine does not do too well on the land. Unless you do little short hops in order to move fast. Otherwise, you are there for a long while. Oh, go. There was no way out of that for me. Because Kine doesn't jump as high as Kirby. Or Rick. Or Coup for that matter. Well, then again, Coup doesn't jump, he just floats. I think Kine is actually the only one that has an outright negative to him now that I think about it. Well, no, they all actually... No, every animal buddy has kind of a negative. Rick only does well on the ground. He can't do well in air or in water. Coup does well in the air and on land, but on water he's not too good, and Kine is only really useful in the water. And we're starting off with a fire mini-boss in this level. Thank God this is easy. Also, that's an annoying thing. You can freeze the stars. Thankfully, you can still boot him into this guy, but... Oh, that's a thing. The stars you shoot out can destroy other stars. I hate that. That actually can get really annoying in some of the later Kirby games that it happens in. It doesn't happen in every Kirby game, but it happens in enough of them to be annoying. Though Kirby 64 has the best power-up system because of throwing stars at other stars. And ooh, Coup! I'd get you in most cases, but I don't want you in this case. Though, I'm trying to think. Do I need Kine for anything in this level? I honestly don't remember. I may have recorded this, like, yesterday, I think. But I don't remember everything that happens in my recordings. Well, most of the time. The thing is with the way I record games is that I often either don't record the entire level in one sitting, or I do. Actually, wait, no, it's this level. Yeah, you need Kine for something in this level. You need Kine with, ice or spark, I believe. No, you need fire Kine. There we go. That's what we need. Why? If you haven't figured it out, because we haven't gotten it yet in this level, this world rather, this is the level with World 4's Rainbow Drop. So we need Fire Kirby in order to get that, and I hate what we have to do here. You see, the stars, as you may have noticed earlier, dissipate in water. However, there is still a brief moment where they are there, and if you do it just right, you can leave the power, suck something up, and get it back. This is a very tight frame to get this rainbow drop, so I recommend you do it quickly. And if you're playing it on the 3DS Virtual Console, which I believe this is on, use the restore points. And just break down those ice blocks, and you get rainbow drop number 4 of 7. No, of 6. 6. No, there's 7. There's 7. I'm thinking of the Infinity Stones for some reason. Wait, why am I thinking of the Infinity Stones? Oh, because Civil War comes out tomorrow. Right. That's hopefully going to be a good movie. It's going to be hard to top any of my favorite Marvel movies to date, by the way, or at least in my eyes, so I'm hoping it can get at least top 4. Because it's going to be hard to top either Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, or the first Iron Man to me. Though technically speaking, because Disney owns Marvel and Lucasfilms, isn't Star Wars technically a Marvel movie now? I mean, there are comics of it by Marvel. Either way, the rainbow drop's the only hard thing about that level. Everything else is pretty simple. And now we're coming up on the boss, which I think is one of the more annoying ones. Yeah, it is. The Ice Dragon. Which I think is actually the only thing it's called, Ice Dragon. Yeah. This guy has very few attacks. He'll either charge into you, do his Ice Breath, or he'll try to body slam you. The body slam sends out these icicles, which is what you need to shoot into his mouth. Well, not into his mouth, into him, to destroy him. Nothing too annoying in pattern, but it can take a while. I'm trying to remember if this game... I'm trying to remember, does this game have a hard... Oh, he also has that attack, which is actually really annoying, because I rarely ever see it coming. If you just jump, though, you should do just fine. In fact, when he's not trying to body slam you, just stay in the air for the most part. I'm trying to remember, though, does this game have a hard mode that you can unlock after beating the game? I don't remember. Food for thought for later. But as you can see, because he only takes, I think, 2 damage per shot, this boss can take a while, so you'll probably be here for about a minute or 2 compared to the usual 30 seconds a boss can take in this game. Though I have to say, Kirby bosses got a lot better as time went on. Because one of my favorite Kirby bosses of all time, even though it's really easy but really long, is one of the ones from Superstar, the one that's like a computer system that plays out like an RPG. That one's really fun to me. I don't know why it is, but it is. Also, this is now really close. It should not be this close in a Kirby game. Also, the only time he'll summon down the icicles is when he faces down, or faces you when he slams down. Otherwise, he just lands on the floor and does nothing. And he's down. So that's World 4. Nothing too annoying. The ice gimmick is actually rather not intrusive, so it shouldn't give you any real trouble. And that opens up World 5, but we're not going in there yet. Because we still have to do the bonus round for this stage. Which is pretty easy. Icicles and the stars will fall down from the ceiling, and you just have to grab them. They bounce twice before they fall off the stage forever, though. So you have to get them really quickly, otherwise you just miss the perfects. So nothing too bad, but hey, God, you want to get as many stars as you can anyway, because you like getting extra lives. I'm not sure if you can actually suck up the stars in these minigames, though. Because you can't suck up the stars normally, I believe. I never try it, so who knows? Well, people who probably played this game a lot more than I have know. Either way, with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3, we're heading off to World 5. See you guys then!